Welcome to class tonight. I do hope that you all are doing well. Tonight we're going to be expanding our understanding of geometry by talking through and learning about angles. Now this is another thing that you really should have been working on for the past several years. Now you will need your protractor tonight, so you may want to go ahead and get that out. You can see mine is down here at the bottom. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with the vocabulary. Now this is on page 379, and you actually see it here at the bottom, page 379. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. First word I want you guys to make sure you understand is the word angle. Now an angle is simply two sides and a vertex. So that right there, that's what we call an angle. Now, you say vertex, that's an unusual word. Well, the word vertex simply is two sides, common endpoint. So for right here, we have two sides, so this is going to be a side and that's going to be a side. And so the two sides, common endpoint is going to be right there. So the vertex is that point right there. Next, you see this little symbol right at the very top there. We call that the degrees. And the degrees are the units angles are measured in. Hopefully this should all be very old news. Finally, the protractor. The protractor is what we use to measure angles, and it looks something, well, most of them look something like that there at the bottom. So that is the vocabulary. Now, this next thing should also be review, but this is how you measure or ought to use or measure angles and use your protractor. Now, we are going to, I'm going to turn the slide. Alright, so I have my protractor here. So we're going to take our protractor and we're going to put the, so it's this right here, that midpoint right there. We're going to take that midpoint and we're going to put it right at the vertex of the angle. And then we're going to line up one of those very bottom lines with the angle, and then we're going to use our protractor to measure the angle. Now you see right here, it comes out right about there. Now, you may see, or you should see, two different numbers. You see numbers here, and you see numbers there as well. Now, with the numbers, you want to make sure you're using the correct ones. And the easy way to do that is, if you're using if you have a smaller angle, use the smaller numbers. If you have a large angle, use the bigger numbers. In this case, we're going to use the smaller numbers. So we see it is about, it's going to say we're really, really close to, I'm going to erase that. It's really, really close to 6 degrees, so we'll call it 59 degrees. I'll make my degree sign better too. 59 degrees. So that is going to be the measure of that angle. Finally, we're going to be classifying the angles. Now, all angles you're ever going to find are going to belong to one of four classifications. They are, you can see them on the board there, they are first of all acute. Okay. Now, the acute angles, you see it's a small angle. Now, acute angles are going to be less than 90 degrees. Now, what I have always taught my students is, oh, it's a cute little angle. Okay? And so that's how we remember the word acute, because it's a cute little angle. Next, the next group of angles we see are it's called right angles. Now, right angles are exactly 90 degrees. So you can see a nice 90-degree angle right there. Now it looks like the edge of a square, edge of a box. Okay, that's what a right angle is. So a right angle is exactly 90 degrees. Next, an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is simply going to be greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so any angle you see that's greater than 90 degrees is going to be called obtuse. Now the way I always have taught this is obtuse sounds a lot like obese. Obese means large. And so obtuse angle simply means, or obtuse simply means large. It's a large angle. And then finally we have what's called a straight angle. Now a straight angle may confuse you because it looks like a straight line, and that is true. Now a straight angle has exactly 180 degrees, right? It's basically a straight line. So those are the four angles that those are the four classifications of angles that we are going to be looking at tonight, and especially tomorrow. Alright, last vocabulary term. Vocabulary term is perpendicular. Now, perpendicular simply has the idea of lines that intersect and form 90-degree angles. So you see these two lines right here, they form, and this little symbol right there, that little symbol means a right angle. And so we have two lines that intersect at a right angle. So that's what a perpendicular line is. All right, we are going to be, so this is, let's go and look at a check understanding on page 380. Now, on the check understanding on 380, we see we're just going to be classifying these angles. Now, very quickly, this one, we see it's smaller than 90 degrees, so it's going to be an acute angle. This next one is going to be, it's larger than 90 degrees, so we're going to call that an obtuse angle. And then finally, we see that the angle right there has that little box in the middle. That's going to mean it's going to be a right angle. Now finally, let's go and look at this one right here, this angle right there. Now that angle, we see it's very clearly not a right angle because it doesn't have that sign in the middle. It's smaller than 90 degrees, so that must be an acute angle. All right, so that is basically the lesson. We're going to be putting this into practice a little bit later, well, specifically tomorrow in class. Now, I will show you tomorrow in class how to use a protractor to actually make angles. That's questions 10 through 15. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But right now, you just need to make sure you know how to measure angles. All right, so tonight, your homework is going to be page 381, 1 through 9 odd. Once again, page 381, 1 through 9 odd. Have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, make sure you bring them. All right, have a great night.